I've neglected making this video for quite a few years. We made one something like it. It has to do with the things that I use as part of my hobby. And of course, it's a little bit more than a hobby, obviously. Obviously, I got carried away. But it's very common for me to receive email or a message on my channel. What do you use for this? What do you use for that? And I just maybe was lazy over time. Although, like I said, we made something like this many years ago before COVID. Then I was busy with it in COVID, which really helped myself and others. But yeah, so to answer all the questions about how I do things from the young people of all ages that write me, here we go. So there are kind of two themes. One theme is regarding used rifles. That's probably what you mostly see me working with. And as I've said before, I don't try to make them look like brand new. I talked to you about my cosmetic surgeon friend. So we're just trying to make them look better and not destroy the value completely. And we've got one on the table, but I think I'll start actually with another common question. Mike, you've got a great display behind you, and I do have a great display behind me, made in Ontario, Wisconsin. And the excellent fellow I dealt with, Gabe, helped me with this. And without it, this studio would look, I think, really bad, as it did for years before Holdup Displays came along. And what we're doing on this video is everything that I show you, well, not everything, but where it's possible. We have a link so that all you have to do is click the link and then you can get the material or the tool. I won't finish everything. I can only do some. If you hate this video, let me know. If you like the video, we could probably do 2 or more. There are so many tools I have, and even chemicals and things like that. But I tried to cover sort of the main bases here. So yeah, to have a look, there'll be an email address for Holdup Displays. This is great company. And if you let them know that USOG sent you or Mike, then they'll give you a discount. And I forget what it was, but it was significant. So, and I've got some of the things that they provided. There are many others, but you could visit their website. Anyway, so that was one very common question. Next question, did you ever make gun stocks? I'll probably forget most of my questions, but I'll do my best. Yes, I did, especially when I was going to school. So for all of you young gunsmiths, hopefully there are lots of you. I do hear from some. Yeah, I would start with a piece of walnut. I can't remember if this is Turkish. I had to remove spider webs. Shame on me. I've just been out of the loop for a long time in this area. But it could be New Zealand as well. Some walnuts heavier, denser, lighter. This has got perfect grain direction. I just redrew this before filming so that you can see how the stock would be laid out. This would be typical for a Mauser, say 98, but it could be just as well for a Remington 700. And it's the blanks are about that thickness. You can get 2-piece blanks, and you can get blanks a lot better than this. I just thought this is a good example of almost ideal grain. You could build a 416 or a 375, anything you wanted is super strong blank. So that's one way to go. And if you're doing that, there are lots of books that I have to explain how, because I have no formal training. I sort of learned as I went, and I had the good fortune of guidance from gunsmiths and people that I knew, just because I was always buying guns. And they told me how to do the finer things. One of the most helpful was Martin Hagen, Ralph Martini. I would visit their shop frequently. And actually, I brought out my double rifle for you. This is a project, Martin Hagen and myself. You won't see too many of these around. You've seen lots of double rifles, but probably not too many falling block double rifles. It was a project that, by total coincidence, he had in mind and I had in mind. So together we made this happen, 7x57R. I'll try to remember things as they occur to me. So this would be, you know, a complete, well, it's not 100% complete, but the pores are mostly filled. That's one of the biggest challenges, is filling the pores. There are different products for that. I don't have the one I usually use on the table. Bottle was empty. But you have to fill the pores so you get this glass-like finish. It's a reflection. And this is an oil finish that's essentially in the wood, but the wood has been polished so perfectly. And I mean, you can take wood down to, what is this, 1,000 grit? But I even have 4,000 grit I found in my sanding box. Anyway, isn't this just a fantastic rifle? You know, my objective was to sort of contribute to gun building and then maybe put it into production, but life got in the way. Anyway, we'll set that aside. So that's one way to go, you know, building from scratch a gun stock. This, of course, would be a two-piece gun stock. But most of what I do, and the products that I'm going to show you now, have to do with this kind of stock. So this is a beautiful Remington Model 30 and 30-06. Bore is pristine. This was all rusted and terrible. But I felt that underneath it was okay. The lettering was still okay. The rusting was in patches. I think it might have been in a boat for a while. And you can see it's had a hard life. The checkering is pressed flat, but it's still there. Anyway, I took the rusted wreck. This was badly rusted, the floor plate, to Nitrera, and they did some great work here. To me, it looks excellent. Now the stock. So maybe I'll just say step by step. Well, first off, whether you're making gun stocks for you younger people or redoing stocks, you probably have these, but I'll show you anyway. And this is a good set. It has like a light here. And I found out that the light even pivots. I didn't know that before filming. And a kind of Johnny Depp sort of Sleepy Hollow spyglass here. I use this all the time. You really can't work without these. And it has a folding lens inside, but you can see, must have been flopping down because I taped it in place. This is sort of mandatory. You got to have this. So I would start out with probably the wire brushes. They're here because you just don't know what's what. These are super cheap. And maybe some mineral spirits or paint thinner. Naturally, you've got to take the gun apart. You have to work on the stock, either in a sink or, yeah, a sink is the best, or a cradle, or just get a stainless steel container. I'm sure you're as good at improvising as I am. And once you're underway, clean the check ring out, then you can see if there's enough life left to chase that check ring, to recut it. And I won't go into detail, but if we pan down here, I've got all these tools that allow me to recut the check ring, which is, you need the glasses. So that's, but we'll talk about that another time. And there's my trusty brass hammer and a little screwdriver. Why is this here? If you need to mark steel, some of you may know about Prussian blue, fascinating history. This is the product that you would need now. This is not for gun stocks, although it could be. This is for marking steel or a metal of any kind. As you know, it's tricky marking metal. Even Sharpies rub off, or some do. So this is the stuff to get. I've used like several bottles, which means I've done a lot of stuff. Checkering is clear, so then how to get the finish off the gun? Well, that would be your judgment call. Is there life in this finish? I think it's safe to say probably no. And in which case, you could use a chemical finish remover. They're available. I must say, the finish removers that I had access to when I was younger were much better than what's available now. I don't know what they did to change the formula, but they don't work the way they used to. And the ones that are water-based, my goodness, I leave the remover on there overnight, come back in the morning, and it's had no effect at all. But I'm not saying they're all like that, and maybe I'm doing something wrong. Anyhow, brushing out the check ring, getting rid of the finish, you'll find yourself on good terms with razor blades. I buy these all the time. Oh, this is also good, you know, for measuring. This I constantly use now, battery operated. That'll be in a link that you can click on. Just because it's without it, you're guessing, and then from guessing comes mistakes. So that sometimes I even use the razor blades to remove some of the dirt from around the diamonds and the check ring. It's surprising what you can get away with. If the wood is not too bad, then maybe try to get away with minimal sanding. Sanding is a big kind of no-no if you can avoid it, but sometimes you just have to sand. And if you do sand, the idea is not to change any of the profiles of the stock as far as possible. And I've seen some stocks, you know, where the people really were going after a dent, and some dents can be steamed out, but they ended up digging holes in the stock, and that's not the idea. It is not going to be a new stock. It's going to be an old stock that maybe even shows it was abused for a period of time, but you know, you can get this blackness out, you know, probably hands covered in, I don't know, fish oil or who knows what, diesel. That can all be changed. But, you know, you'd have to really have an interest in guns to do this kind of thing. But you'd be surprised how many people there are like that. So, yeah, razor blade, many grades of steel wool. Whoops, that's a best friend of mine. Steel wool. This is, I think, 00. One of the last grades I use is 40 steel wool. That's just before starting finishing. And with the coarser grades are almost like sandpaper. The nice thing about steel wool is if you learn how to handle it, it follows contours without wrecking the contour of the wood, which can be another problem, as I mentioned. So let's pretend we've got the stock in reasonable shape. You might have to do some filling of deep gouges. And if you use wood fillers, they're always going to be, the ones that I know of are going to be colored. And if it has color, then it's going to stand out. So one of the things you can do, or try if you like, is just take some clear epoxy, mix it up, fill the deep hole, put a piece of tape over it, let it harden, cure, and then remove the tape and then sand it a bit so that you're flush with the stock. And then go ahead with your finishing. You'd be surprised. It mostly disappears so that you're even looking for where the hole or big dent was. And for other sanding, I find this stuff. Where's this? What is this? This is called 4 rolls, multi-abrasive rolls. We'll list it in the links. But this is a great product. You have different types of grit. 150, 240, 320, and 400. And I find this to be, another excellent, you can see I had to cut to go around a cheek piece or something like that. It's just great, but the links will be below. So that takes care of that type of sanding. And then we talked about steel wool. I hope you're finding this interesting. And then all the different types. I must have a box with like 200 sheets of sandpaper. I showed you the 1000 grit. That's pretty uncommon. Now you're getting into, you know, I had some friends, collector friends of cars, and they would, before a show or something, you know, they would have these incredible paint jobs done and actually polish the paint to 4000 grit. And there's one product not on the table that's excellent for those glass finishes, and that's rotten stone. I'll try to put a link to that if I can find it. Anyway, this is 180 grit. That's fairly common. That's sort of midway through the refinishing. And then this stuff is 320. And I know a lot of guys that just stop at 320, maybe go to 400 grit, and it doesn't look like much. Probably you'll wonder, do I ever use like an electric sander? If possible, I avoid them just because they're so aggressive and noisy and create a lot of dust. But sometimes I do if, you know, I'm lazy or something like that, or there's a flat surface, but there aren't that many on flat surfaces on guns, maybe a target rifle. Anyway, you can buy these multi-packs, and I usually do that, then I don't have to, you know, go grade by grade. So with this one, it actually gave me from 40 grit all the way to 1200 grit. And apparently there's a cork sanding block, which is probably in a pile of mess on my workbench. So that's that. And then we enter an entirely different domain. I use this sometimes. This is a good product. All the JB Weld products are good, but for wood, sometimes you take the stock off and there are voids and cracks and things that you have to address, you know. Burying bolts in the stock to hold it together is not altogether uncommon. This is final finish stuff, great polish. I had a can here of my favorite wax, but it's not here. It's called Brie Wax, but just a fantastic product. We'll get that to you somehow. True Oil, what is this? Bluing? Perma Blue, yeah. I mean, a lot of times you'll be touching up stuff like screws. You can make screws look brand new, even if people have bow tied them. Antique wax. This is a great product. I think it's from Quebec, and it must be beeswax basically, with maybe some other solvents. Excellent release agent. That's what I often use, and it's an excellent polish as well. And speaking of polishes, this is a great polish. This is from the UK, Renaissance. And then what do we have here? Bore cleaning. I think I went to town and just put this on the table. It's really unrelated with what I'm talking about. This I can talk about another time. Oh, stains. Yeah. I had a lot of advice about stains. Some people are saying use water-based stains, and it's true, you can create some really cool blends with water-based stains. But I found that they penetrated too well, and then chasing them out became a labor of love. This, I have a little makeup kit, you would laugh, just for marking things and filling, engraving. And this is brass black. That's a great product. And then I've got 3-in-1 oil. Some people hate it, some people love it. I have Rangoon oil from Wesley Richards. I always find that to be kind of it's a thicker oil, so it doesn't run away, and it tends to keep rust away. I don't know what they put in there, but actually I sent for the chemistry once, but anyway, we can talk about that another time. So after you've sanded it to whatever grit, 600, and you're pretty confident the stock looks as good as it needs to look, then you can try matching the staining to whatever it is you're matching to, maybe your imagination or another gun. It's hard to know, what this particular specimen would look best, probably more or less what it is already. But I use these Menwax. These are oil-based, and I just find them so reliable. They're not perfect, and probably there are better ones. And there are wonderful products out of Germany and probably Austria, Shaftol, but I don't have them on the table. In fact, they're all empty. I used those for years. That was a good, and they have different shades. But you can accomplish everything if you take your time. And always remember the final staining and applying the oil finish, which try True Oil if you don't know about it. It's often applied by hand over a long period of time. And actually, a True Oil finish is never really complete. You can keep applying even after the gun's fully assembled and unloaded, of course. Go hunting and come back, there might be some scratches. You can always kind of bring it back to about new with True Oil. Just rub it on and wait. It's a great product. And there are others. People use tung oil, and they'll have all kinds of advice for you. People like giving advice. But I thought I'd just give you a quick snapshot of some of the basic things that I use over the years, and I mostly learned by making mistakes. So that's usually the best way to learn, for me anyway. Oh, here it is, right in front of me. That's the Menwax that I didn't spot. So yeah, I don't know exactly where you get this, but that is a great product, partly because it has some color to it. Also, the odd time you'll be working on a rifle or shotgun, and there's a little gap between the stock, just somebody's mistake in the factory, or somebody did something afterwards, and you can fill that gap with Menwax, and it makes the union just perfect. You'd be surprised. I know some really good gun makers that use that trick. Anyhow, that's probably enough for today. Please do let me know if this is useful. It's kind of fun making it because it makes me remember all the things I've done. Like I said, a lot of improvising. I'm not a professional. I don't have a dedicated shop. I'm invariably moving stuff regarding something else, like sharpening a lawnmower blade, so that I can work on guns. So maybe later in my life I'll get a proper workshop. But anyhow, that's probably enough for now. And I think you've seen quite a few of the guns that I've worked on. I think I showed you a stock on one of the shorts the other day. Anyhow, yeah, look forward to your comments. I hope this is helpful. I was always told, you know, when I was growing up, you should have something that you can do in case there's no more electricity anymore. And I thought that was good advice. And, you know, checkering, you can make a fortune just learning how to checker or refinishing a stock. And people, of course, polymer stocks now, but that's apples and oranges. They really are best not compared. Anyhow, you take care. Thanks for joining me. Like I said, please write, and we'll see you all next time. Take care until then.